Oh dear. I want to say firstly thank you to Stephen for a brilliant presentation that didn't mention my name once since today. And I don't know why I'm the butt of everyone's jokes here, by the way, but thank you very much. But listen, it's a pleasure to be here. And so yeah, Matt said I joined Ookla, and I joined Ookla for a very, very specific thing. And that specific thing was, who in here likes to cook? Who in here likes to cook? Show of hands. Yeah? You all like to cook? Okay, so turn to the person next to you. Tell them how good of a cook you are. You've got 10 seconds. Go. Come on. Okay, so what words did you use to describe how good of a cook you were? What language did you use? Yeah. Did you say things, it was all kind of personable, right? Was it I make a great Sunday roast, my family say so, or I make a banging lasagna? Yeah, those are probably the words that we kind of use, right? Something like that. Everyday language that's relatable. You don't really kind of say anything majestically like, I made, a velvety beans on toast with crispy grain rustic bread. You didn't use any of those types of language, did you? No, didn't think so. Now, let's ask a different question, okay? Anybody recognize this guy? So let's ask the same question as if he sat next to you. What would you then say? 10 seconds, go. So, Gordon Ramsay sat next to you. Would you say the same thing you've just said? Hey, Gordon, my lasagna is banging. What do you think Gordon would do? He'd laugh in your face, wouldn't you? So suddenly you're aware of what you kind of don't know. And that's something that we kind of talk about in the Wi-Fi industry when we are trying to talk to, those that don't really understand RF metrics. So this is a bit of an exercise to put yourself in their position. But, because then obviously the confidence shifts. Now, what if we spin it around and said, well, what if Gordon Ramsay said to you, he's an excellent cook? What would you think then? Would you agree? Would you disagree? What do you think Gordon Ramsay would actually say? If he was sat next to you and he turned around and said, what do you think he would say? Would he not? So he is absolutely right. He probably is really, really good at what he, But again, how do you know that until you taste his dishes? You don't really know. And some of you might not like his dishes, yeah? Some of you have different cuisine tastes, and Gordon Ramsay just isn't to your satisfaction. So what we end up with is a couple of issues, I think, that we have prevalent in the wireless industry today. And there's 3 problems. So I think the first one is kind of like the translation problem, where describing technical subjects like RF, RSSI, dBm values to the non-technical audience. That's one problem that we have in this industry today, to people that don't quite appreciate or understand. The other problem we have is trust. Is being able to trust your opinion, Gordon Ramsay's opinion, that he makes good cuisine, that you make good cuisine. Okay? So, I don't call them really problems, I just call them kind of requirements, even though one's been badly spelt. But the other thing as well I've noticed, when we do Wi-Fi designs, none of you share your designs with me. I don't see a 45,000-page PDF report showing wonderful heat maps. Do you share them with everybody else here? You don't, do you? You don't share them with your hotels. They don't share them with the general public. So no one really kind of knows how good the Wi-Fi actually is at these particular venues, right? So the thing with Gordon Ramsay, though, he's got a kind of thing that he fixes very, very quickly. Does anybody recognize this particular logo? So what, sorry, shout out? It's a Michelin star, correct. So what the Michelin star's doing, it's kind of like providing that translation, that trust, and it's doing one other important thing, which is the recognition, instantly recognizable. Now, does anybody here not know the story behind the Michelin stars and how it came about? So, 1900s, it's actually, believe it or not, the people who make tires, and they come up with the genius idea, the Michelin brothers back then, to say, How do we get people to buy more tires? Well, we'll create points of interest. So they create the Michelin guide that says, you should drive to this place, you should drive to this place, and wear out your tires and come and buy more tires from us. Ingenious strategy, and it works quite well. And so the guide becomes something that's then trusted, because the Michelin aren't really chefs, but they are inspectors, if you like, of the cuisine. So they put that mark on the restaurant to justify, hey, we've gone in there, we've tasted it independently, because you just can't trust Gordon Ramsay to tell you. I can't trust you. And so in the Wi-Fi industry, when you're building good Wi-Fi design, who knows about how good your Wi-Fi design is? How does an end user know it's a good Wi-Fi design? When I come into a venue like this, when you hire one for a conference, when you go and stay in hotels. I mean, show of hands, who chooses Wi-Fi as one of the reasons why they might go to a particular hotel? Not many, show of hands. So no one really cares about that Wi-Fi in here, and we're all Wi-Fi engineers. So we have this kind of mark of guidance, but we don't have anything in the wireless industry until Alan joined Ookla last year. Now, I've been trying to do something like this for many, many years, and it was a perfect synergy, a perfect partnership, in all honesty, when Ookla were trying to do something similar. And I said, yeah, absolutely, I'm going to jump on board and I'm going to do this. And the irony is that my ex-boss is also in the room somewhere, Greg, wherever you are, hello. And, when I left, he was deeply upset and crying, and his mascara was running terribly. But he understood what I wanted to do. He understood that there was a need, a bit of a mission, and this is a bit of a passion piece that I've been trying to kind of get off the ground. It's something that instantly, it's recognizable. We want it to be trusted and understood. So what I want to do now is kind of talk a little bit more, about this particular Speedtest Certified program that I've actually built here at Ookla. So what it involves realistically is we basically collect a set of on-site data. So we are surveying, but now we've got the integration of user experience. It's now key in our analysis of data that it's not acceptable now just to deploy Wi-Fi that meets a certain RSSI and you get good coverage. We're now integrating Speedtest in order to measure, well, how good does the Wi-Fi perform. We're measuring QoE applications, our quality of experience. We're measuring video. We're measuring gaming. We're measuring how good our cloud apps would load, et cetera, et cetera. And one other important thing, because I think it was mentioned as well by Stephen at the very beginning, is we're also measuring what we would consider readiness and resiliency. How is our infrastructure prepared for minimal disruption? Do we want to have the confidence that when we walk into a room in a venue that, hey, we are confident, safe in the knowledge that it's going to operate if there was a bit of a catastrophe? We want that consistency, we want that reliability. So we're measuring all of this. We're measuring this now with all our set tools here, which are some of the ones I made up in Rome, if Matt remembers that particular video. So we're using a new product, which is basically our Speedtest Certified portal. That's our dashboard that we've built, and that gives us a way in which we can help translate the technical to the non-technical, which we'll go through in just a minute as well. But we're also using our existing Ekahau tool set, so Site Survey, the Sidekick, Analyzer. Thank you, Matt. I've just lost my slide. So what is it that we're actually doing? So first thing, in terms of the methodology and the process, let me describe that for you. So what we're doing is we're engaging with a customer first who says, hey, I want to have my venue Speedtest certified. So what we do, we ask them a series of questions about the venue. So we ask them for floor plans, simple, but we're not asking for requirements like we would do for an RF design. What we're asking for is basically, what is the capacity? What is the, what vertical are you existing in? We're asking for things such as, what's your ISP speeds? How many users? What's your peak times, etc.? What kind of applications and users and things like this. So we're just gathering a little bit of insight about the actual venue itself. Once we've done that, we're then going to build that project file within Ekahau, and we're going to create scope of works. So we're going to basically say what's in scope, what's out of scope by building areas. Simple as that. And then once we've built that particular project, we then go on site and do the assessment. So this is where we're walking with our sidekicks, with our speed test apps, and we're going to be collecting RF data, speed test data, QoE data, so on and so forth. Straightforward, very, very simplified. So we're already doing this today. Once we've got all of that data, we then submit that into our Speedtest Certified Insights Cloud, where our AI engine takes all that metric information, and we're going to turn it into a user score. Okay? So the initial checklist that we have is just asking simple questions. It's just in a Google form, very, very easy. You give it to your customer, they fill it in, you work with them to extract the information that you need. Very, very simple. And then we're drawing more accurate areas on our floor plans, and it's important because, as you can see from the difference between A and B, there's a significant difference in the total square meterage, okay? So, we want to improve the way, we can't just draw a box around a square and accept that. We have to be more accurate with our square meterage because there's a billable metric as well as making sure that we provide our 70% coverage rule, et cetera, et cetera. We go ahead, we do an on-site survey, and we're collecting RF data. We want good quality RF survey data to be collected. Obviously, bad ones, we can reject that, no problem at all. And again, yeah, wonderful little feature, which was spawned out of the Speedtest certification requirements, was this, where we can actually summarize what we've actually surveyed already. Okay, so far, so good. So using our Speedtest integration that's been built into the Ekahau, we can now get key information that puts us in the position of what a user might expect in this particular venue. What speeds am I likely to get? What's my latency performance? And then we also have another feature, which is a secret one, which is basically asking for QoE information. So we're actually going to be measuring a little bit more information, such as, oh, have I gone too far? Oh, where's this going now? Oh, yeah. You can tell I've done this before, right? There we go. So here's a flavor of our quality of experience metrics. So this is also what we're measuring within the data collection, which is integrated into the Ekahau toolset. And it's important to understand what are the applications, and this helps kind of develop what we would call our fit-for-purpose score. And then once we've done that, the AI engine takes all the information, and hopefully they get themselves a little bit of a certificate like this, but basically says, hey, you're now Speedtest certified. You've achieved the minimum set of thresholds, a certification score that's taken everything that we've measured, and turned around and said, yeah, congratulations, you've got something that recognizes what you've done, it recognizes what the venue was invested in, and it also recognizes, it shares that information to basically everybody else that says, hey, you see that on the door, you walk through that hotel room, or you walk through that venue, you could be assured that you're going to get a good quality user experience. I mean, you've all got straight faces here. Are you kind of like bought into this, or are you thinking, tell me more? Tell you more? So this is basically what our dashboard might look like. How many times have you sat in front of a customer and said, hey, got to explain a heat map to somebody, got to explain why the SNR is low, got to explain any other metric. How many times have you sat there and you've taken that conversation? How many minutes did that take? How long did it take you to describe to someone sat next to you how good of a cook you are or aren't? Yeah? What kind of words and language did you use? Already this is just succinct, it's impactful. It's already saying, hey, speed's excellent. The availability of my Wi-Fi is excellent. Redundancy is excellent. Everything's excellent. It's a great Wi-Fi design. You don't need to say anything more. So we can all go to the pub and say thank you very much. Uh-oh. I don't like a demo, but I'm going to give you a demo and I'm going to see how this goes. 3 swipes to the right or to the left? So let me quickly kind of show you what it is that we have here. So as you can see, this is our new dashboard. And in there we have a whole heap of venues that we would populate within this. Now, some of you may have heard the term Oscar. Some of you may have been on our website and seen information about how to sign up as a partner, how to become an assessor and actually be part of this program, and I'll share some of that information with you. But as an Oscar, basically you're the person that's authorized to certify on behalf of Ookla a venue, because it's a specialized set of skills, it's a set of responsibility. You're acting on our behalf, and we need to ensure that you're competent in being able to successfully certify a venue. So, as an Oscar, you'll be given access to this particular. Now, if I were to just click on this, and already you can see the summary, which is, hey, this venue scored 91 out of 100. Fantastic, excellent score. Very, very impactful for executives to look at. My boss, Stephen Byes here, he may look at that and go, fantastic. That's all I needed to know to say that, Andy, you've been doing a great job. Pay rises come in next month. Thank you, Stephen. So these are the kinds of ways in which we can kind of save on conversations, right?
Back to slides.
Not yet, no. Okay, and also, how do we show the rest of the world what we're doing? Well, we can publish a page. And so you can scan a QR code, for example, of that plaque that's on the wall as you walked in and went, oh, get in, they've got Speedtest certification Wi-Fi, fantastic. You scan the QR code, and then you can kind of see some of the features that we want to emphasize and promote to that particular venue, the validity of the certification, what is good, what isn't good. And then all of a sudden you've got their insurances that says, yeah, I'm going to go to this venue to book my conference, I'm going to go to this venue to potentially stay at this particular hotel. So it's a new tool that you can use in order to help kind of, fix those problems that I just mentioned earlier about being able to have something that is translatable, have something that is recognizable, and have something that is trusted. Yeah, let's go back to the slides. Okay. So, we're all technical. We all kind of want to know, hey, Alan, I question your technical ability sometimes. Never? No? Not once? Good. However, what are we doing under the hood? Well, look, we've got 3 categories that we think is quite important when we are putting together how do we score a particular venue. One of the first categories we do is we analyze what is the core performance metrics. The core performance metrics is being what is the most critical thing that must happen for a Wi-Fi to function. It's the highest weighted metric, okay, and it's worth 70% of the score. If any of these were to kind of like below good, which is basically less than 3, it's a non-negotiable automatic fail. Second category, we've got Wi-Fi optimization. So yeah, we're going to evaluate and assess the configuration of that particular Wi-Fi network. How good is it optimized? Are you using the best MBR rates possible? That kind of thing. And then the third category, again, is where we're measuring what's our ISP speeds, do we have redundancy, do we have circuit diversity, et cetera, how would our APs? Here's an example of metrics and thresholds that we would use for a particular SSID evaluation. This is not an exact one that we're using. We're aware that there are different vertical specific thresholds that apply per vertical. Not every Wi-Fi design is the same. But this gives you a flavor of what we're doing and how we're kind of working out to get to a score. This is the easy part. The hardest part is actually translating that into a score that is reminiscent of something that's understood by a user. So these are the core performance metrics. And then we talk about configuration and optimization. We're talking about, co-channel. Do I have a compliant access point? I'm not using a US-based AP in Europe. Minimum basic rates, what are we configuring? Again, these are just examples of some of the thresholds and KPIs that we're using in order to sort of say, there are others missing, don't get me wrong, but they're coming. We're developing those as well. And then again, this particular one here, which is the third category, as I mentioned earlier, which is, hey, how do we score? How do we provide a set of thresholds and score them based upon certain metric values that are being entered in? So look, if you've got a pretty much new network, then we'll give you a better score, okay? And then the closer you are to 100, then you can promote the shit out of that. You can promote it as much to your heart's content and say to everyone, I've got an excellent grade network because I've had it independently valued. And so see, these are just some of the metrics that we're doing. As I mentioned earlier, quickly, the Oscar program exists. So this is where you can come and join and partner with Ookla, and you can start delivering the Speedtest Certified program to your end customers as well. The Oscar itself is a person who's trained, ordained, and is the one responsible for the delivery of that certification to make sure that they've engaged with the customer, to make sure that they've collected all the right relevant data that meets all the criteria, the parameters of the program, okay? And then we also have what's called a data collector, which is basically someone with a sidekick and an Ekahau software, okay? And they can go on site and collect that data on behalf and then share that data with the Oscar, and the Oscar is then responsible to ensure the integrity of that data that's been collected by what we would consider a data collector or just a surveyor, based upon your enterprise relationships that you might have with different other partners and contractors and so on and so forth. So we've allowed that kind of mechanism to be introduced into the workflow. A little bit of information just on some of the training that we are going to kind of bring in, which is explaining what a data collector is. It's just a video that just says, hey, if you've not used Speedtest and QoE, this is what you need to be doing. These are some of the parameters that make sure that you walk 70% or more of the venue to be able to collect a good set of data. And again, what the Oscar is required to do and some of the prerequisites for that. Bit of an overview that starts from beginning to end that kind of shows what the whole process looks like. Key thing I want to say is that we never put anything as failed. It's just pending. We're not going to advertise that it's a failed network. That doesn't do anybody any good, does it? Right? So we put them in a pending state, and the opportunity is there for you, but professional services companies, to go then and do the remediation work to determine where did it not certify, where did it fail? Okay, I can help you remediate that network by adding APs, by making optimization changes, which you can charge your end customer for that professional services if they really, really need that Speedtest certification. If you wanted to apply to the partner program that we're running at the minute, or you want to become an Oscar and assessor, scan the QR code. I am a little bit behind on service and applications, so if you have applied, I apologize, but we are very busy with it all. But if you want to resubmit your application and say, Alan sent you, I'll know exactly where you got that message from in here today, and I will try my best to prioritize you, okay? Great question, whoever said that. I bet you're thinking, Alan, survey's a snapshot in time. Correct. So what happens, the venue was certified on day 1, and then day 2, week 2, month 2. What happens then when the environment changes? What happens then? Configuration changes, environment, capacity numbers increase and everything else. What happens then? What are we doing to mitigate against that so someone doesn't try and game the system? Well, I'd like to invite Mike up on stage to give a little bit of an explanation of Speedtest Pulse, which you may have heard about. So Mike, if you don't mind, grab the red mic.
All right. So here's the device. Here's how it will look like. There are 2 different modes. You can use the device with your phone. It's not only iOS, by the way. We'll release the Android app soon, so you will be able to use both worlds. But then, since we're talking about the certify, it's more about the continuous mode, right? So you'll be able to connect this thing to your network via the Ethernet cable. You don't need to worry about the battery because it can supply power from the power of PoE, and it will be somewhere, lying somewhere around and constantly collecting the data, and it will send the data back to the dashboard where you will be able to see what's going on with your network. So yeah, here's how the app will look like. Not will, actually will look like. Or I guess you're using the old, some old screenshots, right? Because today we did a 1.0 release with a bunch of new stuff, and yeah, I guess we will demonstrate some of them during the day as well. So the app is super simple. Just hit the one huge go button. The app will run all those different tests, and it will show the results in super simple manner, right? With some color coding, so it's very easy to understand what's actually happening with your Wi-Fi.
That's it. Thanks, Mike.
And at the end, you'll be able to generate a PDF report that you can share with your customer as well. Yeah, so that was it. Thank you.
So I just want to quickly end, because I'm way over time, because I like to talk and I do enjoy the stage. But look, all I want to say is this is a new thing. We want you to help us to help deliver this to our end customers. It's a culture shift. It's a mindset change. It's going to take some time, but with your help, we can deliver this. And this can be, the Michelin of Wi-Fi. Okay? But thanks very much.